Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for inviting me. I do about 2 hours YouTube in Cantonese every day, and I don't have to prepare myself. I just go up and speak. Now all of a sudden, I don't know what to say. The situation is a little bit complex. If you want me to talk on Hong Kong, you may not. Hong Kong is very much like your internal politics, very complicated. But then, I can also talk about international affairs. I travel truly a lot. Almost every 3 days, I have international travel. Just came back from Mongolia, Russian and also Russia. I went to spend a day in Russia under the Lake Baikal. So know that situation very well. I've been doing business long time ago with Iran and also Israel. So a lot of traveling, and I know the situation very, very different from the reporters. I have friends there I can call up and then know exactly what's happening. Let me concentrate on this international situation because the candidates have been talking a lot about the domestic situation in U.S. I was in Mongolia and I met many my Russian friends. As we know, this war is very serious. This war can lead to a World War III, very much so. So I asked them, and then they have their point of view. And what they're saying, something really surprised me. They said they have some internal agreement that Putin may step down within this year. They made a deal to elect him as this president, and then he promised to step down this end of this year. Possible. If there is a peace talk, then he may step down gracefully, without losing face. There are a lot of internal support in Russia for Putin. Russians are different from all of us. They believe that they make one statement: all the Russian-speaking people should be united, never be separated. So this is why that's part of the reason for their attack on Crimea and also eastern part of Ukraine. So they say anything can happen. They don't mind giving up Siberia, Russian Far East, but not to be divided on the west side of Ural Mountain. So it's a very serious, to them that's sacred. That's the Russian, they have to make sure they hold on to that place. So it's debatable whether, of course, we don't like to see them invading Ukraine. So this is what's happening over there. Mongolia, of course, is very pro-American, even though they're sandwiched between Russia and China. Politically, they follow Russia. And economically, they are together with China. Very interesting country. Huge country, about the size of Australia. They have natural resource, the same as Australia, but with a population about 4 million people. So very interesting. I've been doing business there for natural resource for the last 20 years. And I know very well. I've been traveling inside Mongolia and the the south of Siberia. But anyway, I think I'd like to talk on one issue, because we are at the brink of World War III, especially when Anthony Blinken just left Beijing empty-handed. He went in, the reception was terrible, and then the departure, no Chinese took him to the airport. The U.S. ambassador to Beijing accompanied him to the airport. The purpose of Blinken's visit was to give China the ultimatum. If you continue to support Russia, meaning that the war will go on and on, and that may affect Biden's re-election. So if you continue to support, that's what the ultimatum was. He was giving to Xi Jinping. If you continue, then we will take serious action. And the rumor in Wall Street is they may take something to do with finance. or even currency. So which means they may stop the Chinese banks using SWIFT, the exchange of currency. And if that happens, that would be the end of Hong Kong. And also, huge impact on China, huge impact. Even American, I think China still owe a lot of money to the U.S. banks, and not to U.S. as a country, but to U.S. banks. But China also still holds maybe about $2 trillion of treasury. So I think what happened is China refused to follow U.S. and refused to stop supplying to Russia, and as a result, something like the Second World War may happen, which means U.S. will put huge sanctions on China to force them to stop. And if that happens, very much like Japan, U.S. put a huge sanction on Japan, which led to the invasion of Pearl Harbor. So we believe that the sanction is all going to happen this year, not going to be 27. So U.S. in order for Biden to try to be more popular, be tough to China, and not to lose the war, U.S. may apply the most severe sanction on China. I'm talking about right now, in weeks, not in months, resulting in China doing several things. China, the so-called axis of evil, North Korea, China, Russia, Iran, and then a few countries in the Middle East, and then all the way to Cuba and Venezuela. That's the so-called axis of evil. China is the source of funding. Everybody. So China has been funding Russia, as we all know, and then funding North Korea. The North Korean missiles, all from China. And also funding Iran. Iran sold all their oil to China and then used that money to fund the terrorists. So China is the source of all this terrorist activity and trouble, so-called the trouble to freedom. So what's going to happen, I think China may not pick one front. They may get them to do all at once. Because militarily, China is very weak compared to, for instance, now you have US, Japan, and then Taiwan, all very strong militarily. The Chinese weapons is very much like Russia's, very out of date. So what China may do, and they're very good in so-called the unrestricted warfare. So what they may do is they may start everywhere. Like, of course, they may escalate the war in Ukraine. And then in the Middle East, there could be 4 or 5 they will start. Make trouble. Hezbollah, Hamas, Red Sea with the Houthis, and then the Gulf of Arabian Gulf, and of course between Israel and Iran. And that's really that's going to cause a world war. And at the same time, also South China Sea, Taiwan Strait, and East China Sea. If they start all at the same time, and then I asked my Russian friend, I said, what if I heard the Ukraine will have 3 million drones this year, 1 million gift by gift, and 2 million they make themselves. I said, what if they invade with 3 million drones? And the Russians said they will definitely use nuclear weapon. So if all these countries, China supply nuclear weapon to North Korea, Iran, Russia, of course, have their own, and then maybe Syria, and of course, maybe Pakistan. Pakistan is one that China supply nuclear weapon to. If they do it at the same time, if they threaten to use nuclear weapons at the same time, that's very serious. This scenario, very few people talk about. But China is not afraid to use nuclear weapons. This is what these authoritarian country. They don't mind. They are not elected by the people. So what I predict, they are going to threaten the West with maybe 4 or 5 fronts of nuclear weapons, all at the same time, forcing the West to negotiate and settle. That's their strategy. Now, if they all come at the same time, of course, the Western countries have to be responsible. So they cannot say, I'm going to fight you all the way. So they may negotiate first. And with that kind of negotiation, the Chinese may ask for maybe not the entire half of Pacific, maybe 1/3, up to Guam, So they will negotiate. And what they want to do is to have this land block, Asian, European, and African. That's one very large land block. That's the whole idea of this Belt and Road. Because the Belt and Road really tie up all these 3 continents. They want to control this continent and leave America with the ocean, all right, with the ocean. So this is their objective. They also don't want to go into war, but they may threaten to have a nuclear war. And if it's not handled properly, it may lead to a 3rd world war. And that's something that we should really be worried about. And I know these people quite well. And I spent 10 years in Beijing, 10 years in Shanghai. I deal with very high-level Chinese so-called politicians. So I know how they think. Also, I was born in Shanghai. I know how they think, right? So they also may not want to have a war, but the ambition, very similar to the Russian. They want control, the sphere of control. That's what they want. So this is what's happening worldwide. We are in a very, very critical moment. This could be anything. So especially us, Hong Kong, our currency is tied to US dollars. If there's any conflict between China and US, that US dollar tie may break, and we Hong Kong people end up with a paper similar to the RMB, just funny papers. So this is what I observe as the most critical moment in foreign policy, because you guys know what's happening here. I know a little bit more about what's happening worldwide, geopolitics. Going to Hong Kong, right? Hong Kong, of course, been taken over by the communists. Most Americans only know a little bit about the communists. When you become a party member, you have to swear. And one of the most important things is they want to do away with all capitalists. And of course, we don't really understand what capitalists. If you own a property, you are a capitalist. You own a car, you're a capitalist. You have money in the bank and you've been trading stock, you are a capitalist. They want to do away with all that. Right? This is what they want to do away with all that. It's not a joke. When I was born in Shanghai in 1949, by 1955, they truly have done away with all capitalists. I think Anna's father was also Shanghainese, but he escaped to Hong Kong and then to Taiwan. I think Anna was born in Taiwan, right? So he might have heard some story, but he didn't have a physical experience. I was born in 49, and I saw. Shanghai used to be fabulous. It's like New York. People are loaded with money. And then in 5 years' time, no more. All became, they call, without any asset, meaning, English, what do you say? 无产阶级中, how do you say in English? Meaning nothing, meaning you own nothing. You have no ownership. So, and a lot of people committed suicide, even religion. My mother was a Jehovah's Witness, 20 years work camp. All religious leaders, Catholic, Protestant, you name it, Baptist, Buddhist, Taoist, all religious leaders get 20 years work camps. Work camp is worse than prison. You have to work. So anyway, this is what's going to happen in Hong Kong. So there's no question. We know already. They just don't have enough people speaking Cantonese. So that's why they are not doing it right away. If they have enough help in Cantonese, they would do it. And the Cantonese in China's side are very rebellious, very independent. So they are not trustworthy to the communists. So, but anyway, this is what we are going to do about Hong Kong. I stopped all my business about 4 years ago and decided we need to recover Hong Kong. Very much like the Jews. You know, we have huge attachment. I think there are 4 tables of Hong Kong people here. We have a huge feeling for Hong Kong, and we want to go back, like the Jews. And in the meantime, they are collapsing. Their economy is collapsing. Chinese economy, together with Hong Kong, is collapsing. And if they continue to help Russia, I think U.S. may increase their sanction, and that may speed up their collapse. I would say it can happen. In fact, their weakest time is this year. May not be next year. It's this year. So something may happen or may not happen. So what we are going to do, what we Hong Kong people are going to do, I personally, everybody has their own idea. I think we should do 3 things. Number 1, we are going to form a Hong Kong parliament, elected by both the people living in Hong Kong and outside Hong Kong. You know, here, just in this table, a lot of people coming from Hong Kong. I think outside Hong Kong, there are about 2-3 million Hong Kong people, and with children. Right? They left China since the 49 and then 60s. Every 10-20 years, huge amount of Hong Kong people will leave Hong Kong and come out. So these people will help us, and together with the people in Hong Kong, we have a secure system of voting that they cannot trace who votes. Right? I've developed a very good secure voting system. You use your passport, and there's a chip in the passport that has your information. So we need to scramble that and then use it to vote. So the scrambling is difficult to break, so they can vote, and then whoever gotten the information cannot trace to the voter, identity of the voter. So we have come up with this. We believe we will have a referendum this year. Referendum means what you want to do with your future. A referendum for the Hong Kong people. And then we'll elect a Hong Kong parliament. The first term will have about 35 parliamentarians. And they will write the constitution for Hong Kong. And from the constitution, we'll form the government, right? Step by step. And every maybe 4 or maybe 5 years, they have a re-election, like what you have. And this is what we decided to do. I think this Hong Kong model eventually will be followed by China, but may take many generations because they don't really understand or believe in democracy. It takes time. People even believing and actually voting and executing democracy still takes several generations. But we believe Hong Kong will be is like the beginning of this whole process. So number 1 is Hong Kong Parliament. Second one, we've been using AI. There are lots of wonderful English documents or articles written every day. So we've been using AI to convert them into videos and into Chinese videos. And we've been broadcasting for free every day to Hong Kong and to China. And Hong Kong is, of course, Cantonese, and to China is in Mandarin. And this is, again, telling them the truth. Right now, the communists are very much like the mainstream media here, lying and covering up and doing all that. So we want to tell them the truth. So this is our second thing, is to give them free news through the internet, giving them the best writing in the West and convert them into videos so they can just listen or watch. which is much easier than reading these very difficult documents. So this is second thing we'll do. And the third thing we'll do, I'm sure you remember we had huge number of people demonstrating on the street, and some even rushed to take over the Hong Kong Legislative Council, similar to your Congress. And as a result, they are being punished right now. I believe today with robots, with artificial intelligent robots, and they can be very cheaply produced. Coming few years, I'm sure you know, and US of course would be and we should have a software using the same robot. We should have software, and they should be protesting or even fighting the police on Hong Kong street, right? Sounds like a dream, but years ago when we heard about car driving by themselves, we also thought it's ridiculous, sounded ridiculous. But this AI, I believe, is really coming, not only in converting language into video, but also make robots become warriors. And this is what we plan to do. Very reasonable, like Elon Musk is talking about maybe 20,000 each. What about 1,000? What about 10,000? All right, and the police have to fight these robots. So these are the three things we're going to do while we're waiting for the communists to collapse. And we give them a lot of pressure. This is what we plan to do. Eventually, we like to work with US. I follow Donald Trump very closely and Mike Pompeo. As you know, we held a very big meeting here in San Jose with Mike Pompeo. Their idea is probably going to be a new United Nation. And the participants are based on people or countries that respect human rights. And what they want to do to form a new United Nation, and everybody contribute 2% of their GDP for defense. And within the new nation, all the trading can be held without tariff. So this is what at least the Trump team has in mind. So we like to follow that, and then we hope to set up a court of human rights in Hong Kong. In Asia, as you know, most Asians don't really understand human rights, including, remember, a long time ago, Japan, and then China in the imperial China, and today's China has no idea of human rights. Taiwan, fortunately, has several elections. So Taiwan kind of very liberal and kind of democratic. I think Taiwan is probably the most democratic country in the entire Asia. So what we want to do, we Hong Kong people also, we lost our human rights. We like to have the court of human rights being situated in Hong Kong, the International Court of Human Rights. And so that all those people who violated will have to be charged. Mostly, of course, from mainland China. And this is all these things we have in mind, I have in mind, and we want to institute. Of course, it will take many generations, but it's something we have to do. Not just by every day bad-mouthing the communists, does nothing. Nothing will happen, right? So we want to take some action. Hong Kong Parliament, using the media, using AI media, and using the so-called AI robots, and then work with the international community on the Court of Human Rights and join the new United Nations of Human Rights. This is what we have in mind. Not easy, but we believe, hopefully, with the Hong Kong Parliament and all this, as we progress, more Hong Kong people will follow. This is what we have in mind. So, the questions?